And by the way, it doesn't really show the kind of leadership and toughness that you'd want out of a president.
Wait, this guy just told this guy he needs to toughen up? A guy who wrote a book on getting tough? Can you believe the nerve of this guy? No, zoom out. Yeah, this guy. Actually, seeing the two of them side by side like that kind of makes you wonder if Michelle has ever grabbed Barack by the Hello again, fellow American citizens. Well, Donald Trump mentions the possibility that the election could be rigged, and just about every one of the Clinton media outlets can't wait to slap him down. How dare he say such a thing? Even Barack had to weigh in with his opinion. Now, I can't stand listening to him speak. His huge pauses when he's off teleprompter drive me nuts. So I edited out most of the dead air between his thoughts to speed this thing up.
One of the great things about America's democracy is we have a vigorous, sometimes bitter political contest. And when it's done, historically, regardless of party, the person who loses the election congratulates the winner, reaffirms our democracy, and we move forward.
It's like he doesn't even remember 2000 when Al Gore conceded to George W. Bush and then retracted his concession when it was suspected that he might be able to win Florida. This issue dragged on for weeks while the Florida votes were counted and recounted. I even found articles written as late as 2013 where the left is still complaining that George W. stole the election. Yeah, move forward, as long as your side wins.
I have never seen in my lifetime or in modern political history any presidential candidate trying to discredit the elections and the election process before votes have even taken place.
Nice caveat, but Al Gore sure did question the election process, as did the liberal media after the 2000 election. But let's not talk about that, right, Barry?
It's unprecedented. It happens to be based on no facts. Every expert, regardless of political party, regardless of ideology, conservative or liberal, who has ever examined these issues in a serious way will tell you that instances of significant voter fraud are not to be found.
Listen to this guy, as if he's read every report by everyone ever and they all agree with him. Well, maybe he's never heard of Google, because it's pretty easy to find a 2014 report written by two professors at Old Dominion University who proved that pervasive, widespread voter fraud does in fact exist. Yes, there's a link in the description.
That, keep in mind, elections are run by state and local officials, which means that there are places like Florida, for example, where you've got a Republican governor who's a Republican appointees are going to be running and monitoring a whole bunch of these election sites. The notion that somehow if Mr. Trump loses Florida, it's because of those people that you have to watch out for, that is both irresponsible.
I'm going to stop you here, Barack. First of all, notice how he says, first of all, irresponsible. He never gets to the second point. Rookie public speaking mistake. Second, see how that's done, Barry? No one is saying that it's the officials who are rigging the election. It's happening at the voter level. CBS 4 found that dead voters are voting in Colorado. The Washington Post reported more dead people voting in Virginia. Another elections expert stated there are over 4 million ineligible and dead voters on American voter rolls. No one is blaming the governors or the election supervisors, we're blaming the system.
And by the way, it doesn't really show the kind of leadership and toughness that you'd want out of a president.
And again, this guy doesn't get to talk about being tough to anybody.
You start whining before the game's even over. If whenever things are going badly for you and you lose, you start blaming somebody else, then you don't have what it takes to be in this job.
Does this guy not even remember the last 8 years? All he did was blame Bush for everything. I mean everything. This is what he was known for the first 6 years in office. He even blamed Bush for ISIS recently. All this guy does is blame someone else.
Because there are a lot of times when things don't go our way or my way. That's okay. You fight through it. You work through it. You try to accomplish your goals.
Don't kid yourself, Barry. And this is one of the reasons conservatives are disgusted with the Republican Party. You only had control of the House and Senate for the first 2 years of your presidency. But since then, the Republicans have held at least one of the branches of Congress. And up until only a few weeks ago, when they finally handed you your very first veto override, they let you get away with whatever you wanted.
But the larger point that I want to emphasize here is that there is no serious person out there who would suggest somehow that you could even rig America's elections, in part because they're so decentralized and the numbers of votes involved. There's no evidence that that has happened in the past or that there are instances in which that will happen this time.
Apparently you haven't seen the Project Veritas videos by James O'Keefe this week. His undercover report shows Democrat operatives more than willing to help register illegal immigrants as voters with lax voter registration laws, even going so far as to transport them to different battleground states where their illegal votes would be more impactful. If you haven't seen this video, they are shocking. Please take a look.
And so I'd advise Mr. Trump to stop whining and go try to make his case to get votes.
Again, you don't get to lecture anyone about whining. And Trump has been making his case to get votes. But it is virtually impossible when the left-wing media is so rabidly against him. Honestly, it's amazing that Trump is doing as well as he is, considering everyone is fighting against him tooth and nail. Even his own party won't support him. This isn't so much evidence that the election is rigged, but it is evidence that the media is unashamedly trying to steal the election from him as much as they are able.
And if he got the most votes, then it would be my expectation of Hillary Clinton to offer a gracious concession speech and pledge to work with him in order to make sure that the American people benefit from an effective government.
Well, he certainly has higher expectations of Mrs. Bill than just about anyone else in America. Since when has she ever been gracious? And when was the last time she worked with anybody that didn't line her pockets first? Do I think the election is rigged? Who knows? There certainly is quite a bit of evidence to suggest it's possible, and we all know the Democrat Party wouldn't hesitate to do whatever they could to ensure Mrs. Bill wins. Oh, and a recent survey showed 41% of Americans believe that the election could be rigged too. Has Trump struck a chord with the American people that can't be denied? Factin' ain't right. Hey, do you love America? Well, America loves you, and so do I. Just as friends. Check out one of these videos, and don't forget to subscribe, and let's be Twitter buds. Let's keep this party rolling. Factin' A.